Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another video. I know I've been kind of like not active the past few weeks. I just kind of got, distracted and stuff like that. But today I'm going to talk about cars. This is the first video I'm going to be doing on cars. I just got done with going to the gym and I'm going to drive home. And on the way there, I'm going to tell you about a specific topic, and this topic that we're going to be talking about is how to treat your car. This is like a special winter edition, so I might give you some additional like winter tips for driving in the snow, stuff like that, whatever. So let's start off with starting your car, and this goes for like not even just in the winter, but also like even in the summer. So first thing I'm going to note is that, as you know, well, I hope you know, metal expands and contracts with the variance of temperature. So when it gets cold, it kind of expands, just like water turns into ice and expands. And then whenever metal gets hot, it kind of contracts a little bit. So with that being said, your engine gets bigger and smaller with a variance in temperature. And I know it's not a lot. It's not a lot of variance, but it's enough to make a difference. Because here's the thing. Engines are built to be very, very precise. Because these engines have to be sealed. You have to make two pieces of metal seal against each other perfectly. Exactly. So that, whenever the pieces of metal come together, there's almost no like air in between them. It's just like a little film of oil. That's why you put oil in your engine, so that the parts don't wear. But the oil will keep a small film, and that's the only thing between the two pieces of metal. And this small film of oil is very, very small. But it's enough to lubricate the pieces of metal that go through your engine. I'm not going to tell you how an engine works in this video. If you want, you can search one up in YouTube or whatever. I might link a video I might do in the future, just telling you how an engine works. But when you start your engine, as I was saying, your engine starts cold, right? Because your engine has to warm up, naturally. So you start your engine and it's cold. Now when it's cold, as I said before, the metal is expanded. So it's gonna, the metal pieces are gonna expand against each other. So that means that the space that was there before, where the oil was able to, kind of make a film in between the two pieces of metal, it's smaller and it has a lot less room for the actual oil. So whenever you start up your car, these pieces of metal start rubbing against each other. And naturally, because the metal has expanded, it's creating more friction and therefore more wear in the engine, and that's not good for your engine. So what you want to do when you first start your engine is you want to maybe let it warm up just a little bit, maybe a minute, or once your temperature gauge on your gauge cluster starts moving. Okay, I'll tell you what a temperature gauge is. It's, a gauge cluster is basically the gauges on your dashboard that you look at to see your speed and your engine, speed, your fuel, how much fuel you have, your fuel economy sometimes, and how many miles you have in your car. All that information, you're going to have at least a gauge telling you how hot or cold your engine is. And that needle is going to start in the very coldest position. Now, as I said before, when you start it, you want to let it warm up. Ideally, you want to wait until it starts moving just a little bit. And this is because, you want to get the engine just a little bit warmed up, just to like start that, kind of contrasting of the metal and everything. But the reason why you want to start, you want to start going after that, you want to start driving after that, is because your engine has an oil pump that's driven by the speed of the engine. And if your engine speed is low, you're not really pumping a lot of oil through your engine, and your engine needs oil to operate. So with that being said, you need to raise your engine speed. And how do you raise your engine speed? By driving. So, you got to drive a little bit, but you don't want to push your car too hard. You don't want to go so slow that you're like a hazard to people on the road, but you don't want to be going, fast or anything. You don't want to be accelerating fast. You want to be, kind of conservative with the gas. And for people who have a tachometer on their gauge cluster, and the tachometer is basically going to tell you your engine speed. It's usually the gauge on the left, and it's going to have numbers ranging from 1 to 5 or 1 to 8, and you're going to see like a little red section on part of the gauge, and that's going to tell you, your engine speed is too high in that red section. Usually you want to keep the dial in between the, well, not even in between anything, just keep it below 3. The 3 mark on your tachometer, which means 3,000 RPM. Because if you look closely on your gauge, it's gonna say times 1,000 RPM. So each number that's on there, you multiply by 1,000, and that's how many rounds per minute your engine goes. That's the speed of your engine, right? So anyway, you want to keep that hopefully below 3, and if you live like right across from, if you live right across from a highway, and in order to get to work, you have to get like immediately onto the highway right after you get into your car from your house. What I would do is I would wait maybe 3 minutes, something like that. Just maybe, don't rev your engine like too high, but like, kind of like press the gas pedal a little bit, maybe bring it up to the 2 mark every once in a while, just to get the oil flowing a little bit. And also that'll help heat up the car if it's cold. But yeah, I mean, you really don't want to push your car when you're first starting it, especially in the cold, because in the cold, the metal is going to be even more expanded, which is going to cause even more wear. So you definitely want to be easy on your car when it's cold outside. And yeah, that's basically how you keep your car from, how do you keep your car lasting a long time? You want to be easy on the engine, especially when it's first starting out, when it's starting to warm up. Once it's up to its operating temperature, which is usually when your temperature gauge is around the middle of the gauge section, in between the cold and hot sections, obviously, that's when it's at operating temperature. Some cars may have it a little bit lower, some cars may have it a little bit higher, on the range of temperature, but for the most part, it's going to be in the middle. Once it gets to the middle, you can be a little bit more less conservative. You can be a little less conservative, more liberal with your gas pedal, I guess, your accelerator, and you can push your car a little bit harder. But I like to say, as a rule of thumb, just if you don't have to push your car hard, don't push your car hard. Like, let's say you're just sitting at a stoplight and the stoplight turns green. I see people sometimes, they just like floor their car, and they just like really pushing their car to the limit. And while yeah, you might save a couple seconds, it's really not good for your car. And the thing that people need to realize is that you want to you want to be easy on your car. I mean, your car is the way you get to work, the way you get to school, the way you get from place to place. That, it helps you get food, it helps you get what you need. It's your form of transportation for most people, and you really want to take care of that, because the more you take care of your car, the more your car will take care of you. I mean, and I see people, they go thousands of miles without, checking the oil, or, even replacing it. And I'm just like, it's not good for your car. And you want to treat your car well. But, since this is like a winter special type of thing, here's a few tips for winter, like driving in general. When you're driving during winter, when you're taking turns, go slow. But as a rule of thumb, you want to keep your momentum. I would try not to stop, especially if you're stopping in deep snow. Try not to stop, because the thing is when you stop, you lose all your momentum, and then your car has to work hard to start that momentum again. And if you don't have enough traction to start that momentum again, you're not going to be going anywhere. You're going to be spinning your tires, and nothing's going to be happening. So that's one thing. Another thing is that if you do kind of start to get stuck, one thing I like to do, especially in front wheel drive cars, I like to just turn the wheel just back and forth. Try not to hit the bump stops, because, by the way, when you're turning the wheel and you hit the bump stop hard, that's not good for the car. It kind of stresses some of the components out, and overall, it just isn't good for the car. You want to be easy on your car. And, as far as that goes, just wiggle it back and forth, and eventually, you'll probably get unstuck. But anyway, as I was saying, another driving tip in general, not even just in the snow, if you have an automatic car, I see a lot of people, they just, with the gear lever, they'll just go from park to drive, and they'll just crank that thing, they'll just, you kind of want to be easy on that part of your car, though. Unless it's electronic, then I guess you can do whatever you want, because it's going to go the same speed no matter what. But if it's like a manual, like a stock, like a lever, where you have to pull it back, and then, like that, or you have to you have to go in like a little pattern down a drive. You want to kind of do it kind of slowly. You don't want to do it fast. Another just regular driving tip I have is that whenever you're going from reverse to drive, what you want to do is you want to put your car in reverse. You go where you need to go when you go in reverse, and then you stop completely. And then after you're completely stopped, then put the car into drive. And then after that, then go. Because the thing is I see people, they go straight from reverse, and then they go straight to drive. Even when they're still going backwards. And that's not very good for your car. I mean, these are all tips. I mean, you do what you want to do, right? I mean, I'm not saying, you have to do this or whatever, but these are just tips. If you really do care about how long your car lasts, these are things that you're going to do. Sometimes just use common sense. I know a lot of people on the road, they're just not very smart, and they'll swerve and they'll do wrong things on the road. They won't pay attention to the lights and stuff like that. And as a general rule, just always be aware of your surroundings. Always look in your blind spots, even if you know that nobody's on the road with you. I still look in my blind spots. I'm just maybe there's a motorcycle there that those electric motorcycles, they don't even make any sound. And if their lights are off, you won't even know that they're there. They will just be silent, completely silent, and you won't even know anybody's there with these electric, motorcycles, which is super dangerous. But and even if you're listening to music in your car and you don't hear a car to your right and you want to merge right, You never know. So, yeah, that's pretty much this video. Another thing is that during winter, your engine oil, when it gets cold, it gets thicker, it gets more viscous. So it's going to be harder to move around in the engine. So that's one other reason why you want to like let it warm up for maybe like a minute, at the max 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. That's pushing it. If you're like kind of like revving it just a little bit, yeah, you can do it for like maybe 5 minutes. You want to get that oil circulating. But the reason why you do that, right, is because you want to get just a little bit of that, heat into that oil so that it can circulate a lot better. And it's kind of easier on the engine components, and it gets into the cracks a lot better. Cracks of the engine, like I talked about, where the engine is so precise, where there's just a little oil filament. Well, if the oil is so cold that it can't fit into that little crack, then it's not going to actually oil that specific part of the engine, right? So you want to make sure that it's as oiled as it can be, right? So that's basically what I'm saying. Another thing about winter is that if you live in like a super, super duper cold place like Canada, like northern Canada or northern Russia, one thing that I would definitely recommend is to get a radiator cover. Now, the thing is that, yeah, if you watch, what is it, Alaskan Ice Truckers, that TV show, they'll have like little like covers for the front of their truck, and they completely cover the front, and those covers are made so that it keeps all the heat in the engine bay, because if you look at any cars besides electric cars, of course, they have grills which have holes in them because the cars need air to flow through the engine bay to keep it cool enough, kind of, to cool off the radiator. If you don't know what a radiator does, it cools off the engine. And you need the radiator to be cool if you want the engine to be cool. So anyway, that's my spiel for today. I don't think I forgot anything. Yeah. So just, drive with common sense. Always check. Even if you know that there's nobody there, always check. And, what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Press some buttons, the bells, whatever, like button, I don't know. Do something. See what happens. Maybe something interesting will happen, I don't know. And, I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.